So most of you have seen this story in snippets, and so let's bring up Tony and Marian.
Give them a round of applause.
So we met a few years ago, and let me just get you up. You're the lucky ones, aren't you?
Yeah, very lucky.
You on?
Am I on?
Let's see. Oh, yes. All right, just stand there. So you're the lucky ones. Why do people call you the lucky ones?
Because whatever we did, people would say, oh, the Dawsons, you're just the lucky ones, you know. It's just all luck. Luck falls your way and that's about it.
Now, is that about right, Tony?
I don't know, my heart's beating like a drum at the moment. Yeah, I suppose you make your own luck, I think, as you go through life, I think.
So your luck doesn't involve sitting around and waiting for things to happen. You had quite a few businesses when through your last 20 years or so.
Yes, we did. We started off, Tony was a professional cray fisherman for over 30 years, so that was his cray boat. We then ventured out and did the vineyard because he would have winter off, so he needed to keep busy and keep out of my hair. So we purchased a vineyard and he planted all the vines, and then we had some wine. So Tony wanted to have his own wine label. So to do that, we then bought a restaurant in Robe to sell the wine. It did start as like a cellar door sale, but then it grew into a 120-seat restaurant. So we had the three businesses going at once, which was crazy because we had three young kids. So from there, we decided to sell them. And
I think people talk about the brick and the feather, and Ian talks about that a fair bit. I think it was at one stage, I didn't see the kids for about 10 days in a row, I think. Up at 4 and home at 9 to 10, and same thing. And I just said to Marian, well, something's got to change here. So we decided to offload a few assets, and that was where the deal with you, I suppose, with emotional attachment to your assets.
So, let's talk about the vineyard though, because I want to celebrate that a little bit. You planted every seedling yourself, worked non-stop.
A rootling.
Hey?
Rootlings, they're called.
Not seedlings.
So, you did some planting and...
Quickies.
And what do you call when they grow?
Rootlings.
So you went off, you started making wine and whatever, and Penfolds came along and said, this is South Australia, we want to buy your wine.
Yeah, actually before we bought the land, we actually had a contract with the Treasury back in those days, or South Corp, changed to Treasury, and then Foster's and Treasury, and so we basically had a long-standing contract with them where we provided them with Shiraz, Cabernet, and a little bit of Chardonnay. So we did that for about 13 or 14 years. So
you sold the whole farm to Penfolds?
Yeah, they came along, and I actually basically said to them that we wouldn't sell it. It's not a fire sale. As I suppose everybody knows about vineyards and making wine, there's not a lot of money in it, especially these days, and it's probably getting harder. But they really wanted the fruit and decided to give us a little bit more than what it was actually worth.
So and it was, you could have got it more than what they paid as well, but you stuck to your word.
Yeah, could have, but once we've made the deal, that was it.
And those grapes there, that's the first time they'd made baby Grange, is that right?
Yeah, St Honoré, went into St Honoré, which is about...
outside of their normal area. So it's the first grape they'd ever used outside of the area they
handpicked,
yeah.
So we had 60 Afghans come and pick the first lot, 60 Afghan.
Like Afghan dogs?
Yeah, Afghan with face masks
Well,
on.
actually, they didn't like having their photo taken. So.
Yes, fair enough. All right, so you bought stuff along the way because you could, because your businesses were doing well, and so you just bought anything and everything.
Well, we did. We sold the fishing licence, and we sold the restaurant. So we had a bit of cash. So we went off and bought. This is pre-D. We bought 3 properties in mining towns, and fortunately at the time, that was 5 years ago, they were doing well, and we thought, well, this is good. We've got some cash coming in. So then the
You bought an industrial shed down the road so you could put your boat in.
No, not quite right.
Oh, come on.
No, I had that.
You had that, yeah.
I've got 2 sheds, Ian.
But if the house next door came up for sale, you bought it.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Yeah, because there wasn't any strategy to what you were doing.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You're simply just purchasing,
So,
yeah?
Fly by the seat of my pants, absolutely.
Yeah. And there was a day there where you went shopping, all the asset in the world, heaps of equity and whatever, and you wanted to buy a pair of shoes.
Well, it's getting pretty hard. We Skyped Ian and Christine at one stage because we had all these assets, but there was no cash flow, and it was like, oh my God, what do we do? We sort of cornered ourselves, and it was pretty dismal there for a little while. But
That was the change for you.
sorry,
That was the change for your
that
husband.
was a big change for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but Marian does have a fetish for shoes, though.
So you'd
Oh,
bought
most
stuff.
women.
You joined in 2012. Asset protection was one of the first things you set up, but this is one of those properties that you'd bought that wasn't quite good for your portfolio.
No, that was one that we bought because we fell in love with it. It was a unit. It was beautiful. It was new. It was furnished. And we just fell in love with it.
So it was before Dipner. You went up there. You didn't go up there. You looked at it, and on paper you'd signed it with a condition in place before you unconditional, and you just didn't feel right about it.
No, I didn't.
And they flew you up there.
And even through the process, I did company searches and all those sorts of things. This is all pre-D, and it was just like, I suppose, in the end, throwing $50 bills or $100 bills straight over the balcony.
Because they flew up there, they put you on the balcony, they gave you champagne and prawns, and they sold you on the emotion.
And a pre-agreed lease for a lease term, which has basically inflated the purchase price.
Yeah, and so how many months after settling did those tenants, or did that real estate agent go? 4 months after the guaranteed rent of bringing passive income in turned up, the real estate agency, which was run by a 20-year and 21-year-old director, went broke, and then those tenants weren't around anymore.
Yeah, but those directors had 20 years experience, though, and so...
It's
Yes,
hard to work that out.
but you didn't check that.
I did. I checked that and found that out, and still the bells were ringing or slapping me, but
Yeah, okay.
fell in love with it.
But you still went in through. So you've sat down, you've joined with Dipner in 2012, you've worked with Christine and I, we start putting together a strategy. We're looking at other deals that we can do the best out of what you're sitting on already on portfolio, and I'm sitting there on a Sunday afternoon at a seminar just like this one, and I say to Tony, you've got some extra cash because you've sold down some stuff, you should go off and do a joint venture, and you say...
As long as my ass points to the ground, I won't do a JV.
So that's Sunday, and on Tuesday you're saying it's a joint venture, right?
No, Monday. Monday morning at 9 a.m.
Yeah. Monday morning, 9 a.m. What were you doing, a handstand or something?
It took us about 10 hours to get home from the event. And
So in between you were talking and doing things. So this is the project. Tell us about it.
It was,
no, that's not it. That's not
it is.
Oh, sorry.
You're looking at the wrong one.
It's Carpenter Street, yep.
Yes, yeah. It was a block of land in country Victoria, a subdivision, 6-lot subdivision. So we drove over there. We heard about it on the Monday. We drove on the Tuesday or Wednesday, met with the JV, got a bit of a shock. Really didn't know what to expect. But anyway, that all worked out. And we signed up. We organised finance within that week, didn't we? And we signed up for that one.
So you provided the money and the finance. They did the work, which
Yep.
is also another student. And you made 160,000 profit on the deal, so 80 grand each.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
it came back a bit because we had a discount. It was a sloping block, had all the hallmarks for a few issues, but we
Yep.
got through all those and went through them.
So you get your money back, you get another $80,000, joint venture well done.
Yep.
You go off and you've got Smith Street.
Yep.
In Victoria.
That was in the same town, and so that just opened us up to this particular town. We found this house that was on a nice sized block that we thought we'd renovate. We'd never done it before. So we spent 3 months renovating that, which was quite an experience, and lots of painting that I'd never done before either. So that worked out quite well. We'd renovated that, and the finished product we'd sold within a couple of months.
Yeah.
And so we'd had done a subdivision, a 2-lot subdivision in the meantime. So we'd sold the house off, fenced that, and then we had this block at the back.
So you renovated 2 months, you then did that, you did the subdivision, and what did you sell the front house? So what were all your costs?
Yeah, well, the house we paid $324 for the block, and the renos were about 50, and then we sold the property for $310, the house.
Okay, so 370 plus the subdivision Victoria probably owed you 400 and you've sold 310. So you got a block of land at the back for $90,000. What was a block of land worth in the area?
Oh, that'd be about 260 or something like that.
So for $90,000, they've got a block of land of 260, right? So they've increased their equity position really well. So, okay, this is the subdivision plan. So it's the top one is your block of land, but your son then comes into this, yeah?
Yeah, we were negotiating with the neighbours to try and purchase a block next door for our son so that we could then open it up and do a bigger development. It was quite funny, when we were renovating the house, we were renting a cottage, and we didn't realise at the time that the actual owners who own the cottage owned that block next door. So how canny is that? This huge town that you're in. And I happened to be speaking to the guy that owned the house, saying, you know, we're renovating this place in this particular street. And he said, oh, we own a block in that street. What number are you doing? And I told him, and he said, oh, we got the one next door. Well, I nearly died. I thought, we're trying to negotiate this deal for our son through the agent, trying to scheme and, get him to drop the price. And here I am talking to the guy that owns it. And he must have looked at me and thought, what's wrong with her? She's not saying anything. Is she all right? I went in and told Tony, he said, what's wrong? What's happened?
I thought someone had died.
All right, so here what we've got is, this is your block of land, you've sold off the front of the house here, that block's now gone.
Yep.
You then negotiate next door and you involve your son. You lend your son $150,000, who is a plumber, is that right?
Yes, yep.
Good man, that boy. And goes off and gets a loan and does this, and now you involve your son in the joint venture together because you create an easement through the middle of the two blocks, yep?
Yeah, so what we did, we just basically put the driveway down through the centre, and to get what we wanted on Jared's side, we had to move over onto our side a bit. So potentially, we've got three at the top. We've got 2 3-bed, 3-bath townhouses on the top, and across the front there is 2 2-bed, 2-bath townhouses and a 3-bed, 2-bed.
All right, so before we go on to that plan, you've got 2 blocks here that have got holding deposits already on them sold.
Yep.
You've got this one on the market at the moment.
It's not on the market yet.
It's going to be on the market.
Going on the market,
You've lent your son $150,000, so he's going to pay you back by gifting you one property, and he's going to keep the other property with a profit after selling these off of about.
But it'll be basically his debt will be nil once he sells those 3.
All right, so you're selling these as house and land packages out the front. Correct. You're going to own this yourself. You're going to own this, or you're going to sell off, are you?
Well, we'll just wait and see.
This one here is yours as well, and this one in here, which is 2 2-bedroom units.
No, there's 6. Well, there's on each one of those bottom ones. There's 3 2-bed, 2-bath units. And we, because of there's 700 mil being spent on the hospital there, we're only about 500 metres from the hospital, so we'll rent them out really.
All right, so in the end, your son's going to end up with a debt of about 100 or 200, was it?
Yeah.
About 200 with 3 units worth.
3 2-bedroom units.
Worth how much?
Oh, I mean, his equity gain's probably about 600 or something like that, 500 to 600.
How old is he?
23.
Pretty good, isn't it, for a 23-year-old? So that's what it looks like there. You're waiting on the DA for the unit part of it there, and financials.
We've actually got a meeting on Tuesday, consultation meeting with one of our objectors, and she's a bit concerned about the riffraff that we may be bringing into the area.
That's something sometimes when I wouldn't call it regional, but it's a major town, you're going to get people's perception that this style of smaller units is going to bring low-cost housing, because Housing Commission builds little places and some people in Housing Commission are not that good. So people's perceptions get thrown out. You throw some decent artist impressions around what you're going to be doing there, and the council probably already knows. It's just someone that's having a complaint. You deal with it.
What we're also doing is getting the real estate agent to write us up a report.
We lost you. Yeah, write up a report for you. We've lost both now. So you're going to write up a report for that.
On rental.
Okay, so you're on the rentals. So you've got an industrial block.
Oh.
You've got an industrial block there, and this is out in central Queensland, and you put an option on it, yeah?
Yeah, we put an option on that 2010, and then it settled in 2012, I think, was it? And there was an already uplift of about, it doubled in value by the time we'd settled before we'd paid for it.
Not a bad option,
No, it's a good option.
because you didn't have to take the option up,
No.
but you did
no.
because it doubled in value,
Yeah,
right?
it did, yeah.
Okay, so you go in and you get a approval for a shed, and you start building the shed, but you need to put guarantees and cash in for that to happen because you didn't have a tenant, right?
So this is one of the strategies that Dipna and Ian and Christine helped us with, to utilise what we already had in our existing portfolio. So it was a big, it was a massive risk for us. I suppose we had no tenant, and the bank, they won't lend you the money unless you have some sort of guarantee, or if you've got a lease in place, they'll certainly throw it at you almost. So we had to put 150,000 into a sinking fund, which they had control over for 2 years in case we didn't get a tenant.
Right, in case you didn't get a tenant. But if you got a tenant, you got that money back out.
Exactly, yeah.
So while you're building, you come in and there's a tenant that comes and turns up and says, yeah, I want to rent.
Yeah, sort of, yeah. It was a little bit more complicated than that, but...
I'm simplifying it,
okay, yeah.
but essentially there is a tenant that says, I want to take it up. And they do ask for some other things, and you have to change the plans and extend them.
We had to change the MCU, and then that incorporated around about an extra 400,000 spend, so an extra shed, a washdown area, a crane of about 70,000. So
Yeah.
it was total of about 400,000.
So that $400,000 at 7% is probably going to cost you $28,000, but it increased the rent by an extra 100. Yeah.
Yep.
So by spending that money, and the crane would be depreciable over a shorter period of time and all that sort of stuff. But, you could have said to them, no, you go and put the crane in yourself at your cost, but there was benefit to putting the crane in, and we talked about that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is the shed finished, and what it looks like there. So it's your first commercial deal. The tenant is now in 5 other areas around the country, and they've said, you want to play, do exactly the same. You go find the land and the factory and we'll take it, yeah?
Yeah, yep.
And this is on a 5x5?
Yeah, it's a 5x5 plus 4% increase, so with increase per annum.
All right, so you secured the intent to lease, which meant you got more, and we talked about that, how it increased space. So you moved towards an agreement to lease with the 4% increases, passive income of over $210,000 a year on that one deal. Now, when you started, you had $2,500 passive income coming from the properties that you had, but you had no cash flow at all, really. Yeah. So
we had equity, but we just couldn't utilise it.
Yep, so that's $210,000 passive income. I have to say it again. Give them a round of applause. So again, you've affected your kids because you've got an industrial block of land back at Robe.
Yeah, we
I'm not working. Oh, am I working?
Yeah, you are working. Just needs a little bit more volume.
Yes, we've got an industrial block that when we met with Dibna last, she looked at it and she said, what's with this land? There's 2 sheds on there. I said, yeah, well, a man needs a shed. There's 2. And there's land at the front. And she said, what are you going to do with that? And we said, well, actually, we never thought of doing anything with it. And she said, well, think about it. So we went home, we had a thought, storage sheds, no, the road doesn't need any more storage sheds. So last year when we were on the Platinum holiday, we get home and the kids said, we know what you can put on the front of that block, a gym. Robe hasn't got a gym. So while we're on holidays, they did the letter drop and the phone and text this number if you want a gym in Robe and all that sort of thing. So they've done all the research, and so Robe is now getting a gym, and the footings went down this week, and that's our kids.
So what sort of money are they going to make out of that?
Oh, well, we're commercially lending the money to them with an agreement. It's all legal. So it's going to hopefully...
Well, we hope so.
Yeah. Hopefully it's passive, but I think the critical thing about this is the learnings that they've gained through the process. Jared, our son, the eldest one, is very, he's a bit like his mother, he's very impatient and doesn't have his dad's patience.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a learning curve for both of them to go through the process. As we all know, there's lots of hurdles and bumps and in the road, and you've just got to be prepared to go around them. And I suppose what we've learned through the process with what we've been doing is that, you know, known means there's another way of doing it. So you just have to stop and reassess and then go a different direction, perhaps a little bit, and it opens up again.
So you've got some new deals on the horizon happening, obviously, because a few of those are closing up and finishing, so you've got other stuff coming?
Yeah, we've got another commercial tenant that wants properties through regional Victoria, and they're prepared to do a 10-year lease, but we just got to find the right property. So we've been working on that for about 6 months now, and we've had 3 failures. Only the failure is that we just haven't found the right product.
Yep. Now you work, you've got time on your hands now. You're not working flat out as you used to without seeing kids and whatever, and you've been, hanging around the road golf club since you were so cool. Yeah?
Yeah, since I was a little boy, yeah.
And
So for the last, I suppose, 3 to 4 years, we've been working on a development for the golf club. We had a rezoning of some land, and also we've purchased some land to extend the golf course into an 18-hole golf course. So gone through I suppose with the experience that we've gained, I've been working on that. I'll probably spend 70% of my time doing that now.
Do you charge for it?
No. And so we've just had an auction of our first 10 blocks, and we sold 9 out of the 10, and only 17 blocks sell a year, and we sold 7 on the first day, and we've sold 2 cents. So, and that's about 1.7 million going into the golf club's coffers. So
and that's all come from your knowledge base here to help out that.
I'm not saying that I've done it, but I've certainly been.
But you're there helping, yeah?
He's a major
and giving 70% of your time to do that, and that's pretty amazing. So cash flow position started at $2,500, now over $250,000. Plus, your equity gains over $1 million since the time you've been with Dempner and working with myself and Dempner personally.
Two something.
Say?
You said $1 million too.
So is it 2 mil?
Yeah.
Sorry. What's one between friends?
I'll have one of yours. Between friends, obviously.
Yes. Learnings.
What have I got there?
Yeah. Do you want your glasses? You've got to use the tools.
Oh, you have to use the tools. And one of the things I have really learnt, as Tony mentioned before, I have had to become very patient because obviously when you do these deals, it doesn't happen straight away. So that's been a big learning curve for me. And to share your experiences with people and your family. Like, we've introduced our family, which is really exciting, not only our kids, but my sister and her husband. So it's just wonderful. And to be here and you just get so excited and a buzz when you meet these people again. It's just a wonderful family to be a part of.
So, Tony?
I think the critical thing is that it's not a competition when you come to these sort of events. It's more of a sharing of knowledge. And I mean, I suppose some of the businesses I've been involved with is very competitive, like cutthroat competitive. So you don't get a lot of feedback, I suppose, how to improve. So that's what I find really exciting, is that everybody's prepared to share their knowledge and it's not a competition.
I want to commend you because I've worked with a lot of students over the last 5 years, and having students like yourself really makes Christine and my jobs really easy because, we set a plan together, we sit down and we say, this is what you need to go off, and you just go off and do it, and you did amazing around that time. You're now kicking bigger goals, Platinum doing other things as well, so I just want to congratulate you on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Ian.
Can I just say, and I know it's backwards and forwards a bit, Ian, but certainly your help with Christine through our when we hit that bit of a roadblock was certainly a turning point for us, and then joining Platinum with Dipner. But you certainly, especially with spreadsheets and FISOs, and now we feel really confident to go into that. And I really thank you for your help, and Christine as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Huge round of applause for these two, hey?